So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this panel. I hope you had a good lunch. So we are here to talk about women again. There's been a number of panels on the topic, so we're very happy to be here today, and it means that the topic is very relevant, and for us, for what we are presenting today, definitely is an item we would like to discuss. Yesterday during the plenary there was a teaser, a presentation of a program that is about to start that's called the Female Entrepreneurship Fund, and this is what we're going to present today with my colleagues here with me. I would like just to make a brief introduction just to set the ground and say that we noticed that in Central America women struggle still to access credit. When it comes to microfinance, access is quite easy, meaning when loans maximum arrive to $2,000, women are preferred by microfinance organizations because of their creditworthiness and their capacity to pay. But then that we see that there is a significant shift in trend when the amount of the loan increased to more than $10,000. And in that case, the underwriting excludes women, and most women don't get the loan, or if they get a loan, they get a smaller amount compared to the counterparty men. Definitely, yeah, might be an issue of limited business training or structural barrier, but we believe that there is a systematic bias in risk evaluation, and this remains the main predominant cause of credit shortage. So the Female Entrepreneurship Fund that we discussed today aims a bit of that, to create a change in the region and make sure that the bias in the underwriting practice is turned. And without further ado, I would like to introduce you to the panelists that we have here today. I have here with me Eduardo Ernesto Alonso. He's the head of technical coordination and regional integration at CENPROMYPE. His expertise includes a notable specialization in comparative and integration process, and is an instrument force in advancing goal and the regional integration and economic growth. I also have with me Francesca Randazzo from LuxDev. She's the sustainable innovative finance expert. She has a long experience in inclusive finance, having worked in almost all the continents, I see. And before joining LuxDev, she has been working as a manager for basic needs, economic recovery, and economic inclusion at Ethicam International. I also have with me Jennifer Fuentes from Total Impact. She's the regional director of Central America. She's based in Salvador, and her role concentrates on developing commercial relationships with local financial institutions and technical partners. So what we would like, and I would like to start with you, Eduardo, this afternoon. We know that CENPROMYPE is one of the promoters of the FEF, of this fund, and he has a long-standing relationship with LuxDev that helped to build this idea. So I would like you to tell us more about what CENPROMYPE does and how you operate in the region, which challenges do you see, and if you can help us to understand better the context.
Okay, thank you, Chiara, and thanks to all of you for being here. First of all, I think this is a very great opportunity to talk about what Central America is trying to do in order to improve the development of the MSMEs. And that is why CENPROMYPE, that was created in 2001 by the 8 governments of Central America, that includes Belize, until Panama, and the Dominican Republic too. So they decided to create like a center in order to have all the information about what is doing the MSMEs, why is doing that, and what can we do, because our business park is 99% composed by the MSMEs. But we have in the Central American integration system an integrated market. So are they taking benefits of this market, the Central American market? So that was the question that we had 20 years ago, and since 20 years, CENPROMYPE has been studied, making research, and also make some proposals as projects in order to improve all the, as we said, the ecosystem that is around an enterprise in Central America. So, well, And also, what I want to say is that I do not speak English, so maybe I'm going to sound like a Spanglish, and I'm sorry for that. And I'm going to say some words in Spanish too. So, since 2001, we have been working with the MSMEs, but we observe and we were aware that working with MSMEs led by women deserve a different way to treat because of all the barriers that you described at the introduction, and because our intervention model tries to build capabilities in order to achieve, for example, the financing, but it's not so easy because when you have an environment that is maybe is not used to work with MSMEs led by a woman, the scoring, for example, it's not different in order to improve the conditions they are going to take and finance. And in the years that we suffered the pandemic, for example, we made a study that reveals that the women are very reliable in order to have a credit or a loan, but the bank are not giving that kind of loans. In the first, if you have, for example, if you are a woman that lead an enterprise and you have to start, maybe you could find a very an offer of $2,000 until $5,000. But if you want to scale up, and you would like to become like a middle enterprises or a middle enterprise, you will not find an offer in Central America. That is why we start to work joined to the government of Luxembourg in 2018 in order to create the conditions and to understand exactly what was the problem. And there is not just one problem, but we had to choose what are going to work with. And that is how LuxDev and CENPROMYPE create one first project that we call PREFEM, un programa para empresarialidad femenina, PREFEM. So with that first project, we could find all the issues that were affecting to the economic autonomy of the women. And that is like the environment we are working with. Now, maybe in forward, we are going to talk about this fund specific.
Excellent. Shall we show the video then?
Yes.
Yeah. We have a short video to show you to understand exactly the demographic of the client with whom CENPROMYPE is working.
Please.
Let's see. Should be.
La participación de las mujeres empresarias de la MIPYME no es negociable para CENPROMYPE. Son parte importante del desarrollo económico y social de nuestra región.
Hemos trabajado y estamos trabajando para que las mujeres empresarias estén acompañadas en el ecosistema empresarial MIPYME y así puedan escalar sus negocios y mejorar su nivel de autonomía económica.
Estamos trabajando para crear nuevos mecanismos de financiamiento de doble impacto en las empresas lideradas por mujeres y en la cultura interna de las instituciones financieras.
Gracias por apoyarnos a crear e impulsar la Agenda Regional Mujeres MIPYME.
Gracias por fomentar las redes de mujeres empresarias en la región.
Gracias por poner a las mujeres en el centro de desarrollo productivo.
Gracias por ayudarnos a hacer crecer nuestras empresas.
Gracias por articular el ecosistema MIPYMES a favor de la empresarialidad femenina.
Gracias por promover una agenda de desarrollo basado en las mujeres.
Gracias por generar más capacidades.
Gracias por apoyarnos a crear nuevas estrategias de negocios. Gracias por promover ruedas virtuales de negocios que nos permiten exponer nuestros productos y servicios con más clientes.
Gracias por creer en la capacidad transformadora de la integración centroamericana.
Gracias por promover a las mujeres empresarias en la región en la toma de decisiones.
Gracias por fomentar la empresarialidad femenina en la región centroamericana.
Gracias por apoyarnos a desarrollar una plataforma de servicios financieros y no financieros para empresas lideradas por mujeres.
Gracias por fortalecer las capacidades para la promoción de la empresarialidad femenina dentro de la institucionalidad del SICA.
Gracias por creer que las mujeres podemos hacer negocios también en las áreas STEM.
Gracias por apoyarnos en capacitar a funcionarios regionales en temáticas con enfoque de género, medio ambiente y cambio climático.
Gracias por apoyarnos en la elaboración del sistema de monitoreo, evaluación y aprendizaje de CENPROMYPE.
Gracias por hacer realidad la transformación digital de CENPROMYPE.
El programa de empresarialidad femenina que ejecutamos e impulsamos junto al Gran Ducado de Luxemburgo está impactando en la vida de mujeres empresarias y emprendedoras. Y queremos seguir trabajando de la mano para hacer de Centroamérica una región más equitativa y con más oportunidades para las mujeres.
Excellent, thank you. And thank you for your presentation, Eduardo. What I think is really interesting, the fact that we have a wide number of actors involved, and a number of female entrepreneurs from all over the region that we are working with. And I would like both of you, with Francesca together, to explain us how this idea of the Female Entrepreneurship Fund came based on the experience and the co-creation you did together on different projects in the past.
You want me to start? So, thanks a lot, and I'm a little moved by the video because I recognize some of the business women that I met in Guatemala last year. So say hello when you say hello to them from myself. So LuxDev is supporting CENPROMYPE in this journey, and I think that the idea came because, so I arrived at LuxDev in May 21, and around, I think it was October, November, I had my first call with my colleague here, Margarita. She's based in El Salvador, supporting CENPROMYPE on the ground, and say, okay, we know that now we have the Sustainable Innovative Finance Expert at the HQ, and we have this result too in our Preferred program, saying we have to develop some sustainable financial mechanism to support women entrepreneurs. What do you think we should do? And then we started a long series of discussions, and we started studying a little bit what were actually the needs of women-led MSMEs in the region. In my previous experience, I work a lot with Central America, especially with MFIs, and I know that a lot of women already loans, but really at micro level. So when we dig a little bit more on the universe of women-led enterprises, we saw this gap, as Eduardo was mentioning. So women that need between $20,000 and $100,000 financing, they don't have almost any option. And then we were thinking, okay, what should we do? Should we support 1 or 2 MFIs? But we have 8 countries, and there are a lot of needs. And then I was in El Salvador in May 2022, and then we said, we sit with David, he's also there, and we say, let's go for a fund. And they're looking at me like, a fund? What type of fund? An impact fund. Are you sure? Yes, let's go for that. But a 2 million fund? No, David, at least 10 million. 10 million? Yes. So this could be a little bit the idea. And then we start also talking with some stakeholders in the region. So it was really an iterative process. And then one of the discussion was one of the part in a development bank in the region that said minimum 25 million. So with David, we look at ourselves. I really remember this call, but 25. Let's go for 25. And then so we were really proud of it, that our idea was quite interesting, and then let's go for this path. And we start the structuring of the fund itself, and I don't want to go to the details, but I think now we have been working on the structuring for 1 year. So we had the support of a local consultant, and now we have other partners on board, like Jenny from Total Impact, and now we're targeting 50 million. So maybe in the coming years we will sell this fund, we'll be like 150, who knows, but we're really excited about that.
I just want to add that that was a very risk decision, because actually in Central America, even though we are in a system for integration, we do not have supranational organizations. So we do not have like an authority that could decide over the 8 countries. So we were trying to make a fund, like Francesca said before, but we didn't know exactly how to organize a fund that would work for the 8 countries, for the women in the 8 countries. Who is going to be the lead? How we are going to organize that? And that was part of this process, and that is how we find some stakeholders and other actors that are specialized in that kind of funds.
That's interesting. Maybe Francesca, you want to add on that? How then, this evolved?
Yes, actually, also for us it's quite new, because we're an implementing agency, so we generally don't structure impact investment fund. So it's also something new, and I think the interesting thing is how, let's say, traditional outcome from a development programs, at the end of the day, can be just become a spin-off and something really more sustainable, which actually all development actors are looking for, to have like sustainable solutions. So I think this is also something quite, I will not say risky, but really quite innovative, at least from our perspective.
Thank you. And now the fund is in a phase of creation, so we are still, you were just telling us, we're still building the structure. And as we were saying, the fund aims at offering, based on the experience and the ground information we have, is a combination of loan guarantees and technical assistance that will make the fund innovative, because it's also important to cater the needs of women, but do it that in a different way. And as you said, it's important to do credit, but as well accompany women. And one of the mission, as we were saying at the beginning, is to change the perception and the underwriting process of microfinance organization and in general organization working in the region. So this is why then Total Impact comes in. And we would like to understand from you how you plan to convince organizations to change their mind, because so far it's been proven quite challenging.
Yeah, of course, it's a challenge. So like say Eduardo before, I can explain more in Spanish, but I will try to do in English too. At Total, we develop financial vehicles to provide access to meet the basic human needs, and aligns for the UNS and SDGs. For this intervention, we integrate 2 important components, technical assistance and financing. For the technical assistance, for these vehicles, we are integrate to technical assistance to the enterprise and for the financial institution that is working with us. Total has success with this model, financial inclusion for WASH and the other areas too in Central America. And for this approach, Total has able to reduce the credit risk of the enterprise, develop a healthy pipeline, and also we are providing attractive funding for the FIs. So we are working on that, and we are working in the strategy of technical assistance too.
Excellent. Thank you, Jennifer. Yeah, that's very interesting and helpful. And you mentioned technical assistance, and you mentioned that the idea is to have technical assistance to financial institutions, but also to the final beneficiary of the intervention. Can you tell us a bit more how this is going to be structured?
For example, the technical assistance for the SMEs will focus on help the enterprise to define business plan, projections, governance, and any other activity that the enterprise needs. And for FIs, we'll focus on develop the criteria to improve the credit policies that we can close the gap for the methodology of evaluate the credit loans. And also we are creating incentives to complete the full process too.
So quite some work ahead in understanding what the needs of the organization. And of which, as a CENPROMYPE, you have a great experience, especially leading technical assistance to women entrepreneurs. So how do you plan to seek additionality regarding this intervention that you're planning to implement?
Well, the technical assistance is our core business, actually, because we were created in order to understand all the business park in Central America. So in these 20 years, we have developed different kind of programs with every country, with the 8 countries, in order to understand how can they grow by the MSMEs development. So in this case, when we started to work with the government of Luxembourg, our focus was in gender land. But now that we have understood what we have to do, we really had to move to a gender transformative, because if you understand some situation but you don't dare to do something, well, you are being part of the problem. So that is why we have developed in the institution, not only for the work with women, 5 flagship programs that are related into them. But one of them was the product, was the result of the working that we have been with the government of Luxembourg. That is it's an agenda, actually it's an agenda that was created by the women that are leading like a network, the first network of women leading businesses in Central America. And we transformed that agenda into a program, into a flagship program, in order to have like a aligned to work into the next 5 years. But also, we have 4 flagship programs related to rural MSMEs, for example, because the 54% of our MSMEs are in the rural territory. So it's something that we have to work with, and we also are working in the digitalization of the MSMEs, but not also e-commerce, but all includes the digitalization, and we are working with MSMEs in market. We are trying to improve the productivity. I would like to say, trying to change the kind of Central America produce in order to take advantage of, for example, the association agreement that we have as a region with European Union. And in this, in all of the things that we are doing, we are focused on the business's development life cycle. We have organized how the enterprises are growing. And with this life cycle, we can focus on what we are going to do when you are starting, for example, when you have the more capability to export, what kind of needs you are going to face. And we provide specialized services in order to organize the environment. We work with the 8 government, but also with the MSMEs, with services providers, incubators, accelerators, and we try to, everyone there has a role to accomplish.
Thank you, Eduardo. And yeah, that's a very complex structure you put in place, and that shows that there's a very deep understanding, definitely, of the different needs. And it's impressive, especially because you do that on a number of countries. And this has been always done in cooperation. So I would like to maybe to hear from you, Francesca, how, as an implementing agency, you see this TA placing in the structure of the FEF.
So the TA is like, I would say, the key component of the FEF. We want to change the way things are done, so we need to support the institution to do so. And then the enterprises to be ready for that. So for us, what is really interesting in all this process actually is that we are working with an organization that really knows what is needed in terms of the enterprises, and this bottom-up process that we are putting together. So both like for the vehicle, but also for the technical assistance. So as is one mentioned, we have like these essentially two main pillars in the technical assistance, the one for the the financial institutions, and we will really look to put in place big changes within the institution, like risk management is a big part of it, but you have also human resource, and you have how you make an institution inclusive. And this is also the tricky part, because when you want to do inclusion, it's not just setting like a set of policies or new tools, it's also how you change the mindset and how you change the shape of institutions somehow, because you have to adapt. So this would be like a big part of the technical assistance. Then of course the one for the entrepreneurs, what we are looking is like additionality compared to what already CENPROMYPE is doing through its networks. So really see for each entrepreneur, women entrepreneur, what is needed. Maybe is coaching, mentoring, or some really specific technical assistance. And then something I really want to also focus on is the knowledge sharing, knowledge management and knowledge sharing. We have a huge set of impact indicators, and we want also to collect those data, but also to use that, because at the end of the day, the FEF in Central America will be like a demonstration investment fund. And the idea is that we can also draw a lot of lessons learned that then can be adapted or replicated in other contexts. It's just showing a little the way, we hope, how we can change things, and then for others also to take this and try to do the same in other regions. So this is a little bit how we picture that.
Inspiration, yeah. Yeah, I wrote down a few words to say as keywords, like this demonstration and this learning to replicate in other countries. That is very important, especially because the outreach is different countries. But, and is, in my opinion, is very important, even more today than in the past, to actually prove that what you are doing is tangible. And this is maybe for the advisor, that is a question for you, Jennifer. We need to measure the impact, and we need to prove that this change is happening in a robust way. How do you plan to do that? Because the challenge ahead is significant.
Of course. We have a list of approximately 20 KPIs, sorry, to help to us to prove the FEF component is working. We will, how do you say medir? Measure the impact with three areas: portfolio level, FI level, and the SMEs. For portfolio level, we are looking for tracking how the FI is working with the personnel inside the FI. The FI level data is, for example, the numbers of the loans with gender or for women, in which the FI are working or improve the policies internally of the FI. And the SMEs level data, we are tracking to grow up the entity. How is these three KPIs or measure the impact to complete the full expertise for FEF.
Thank you. And this will require also a constant monitoring to see the change over time?
Yes, of course. We are doing the impact when we start to working with the FI and the enterprise, and then we have periodically for the track the impact.
This is important also. I mean, the demonstration effect is very important for CENPROMYPE as well.
Exactly.
It would be nice to hear from you how this is. How do you want to contribute to this change, and what you seek to take out from the FEF?
Yes, as a regional organization, we have the responsibility to be sure that there is an alignment between all the interventions that we are doing, for example with LuxDev, with the regional agenda. The regional agenda has a lot of challenges, and we are contributing to face one of them. So what CENPROMYPE has to do is to be sure that there is that kind of answer to these regional challenges. And in the first prefen, we could find some areas where CENPROMYPE has to improve. And that is why in this second phase of the project, we were supported by the government of Luxembourg in order to have a very integrated system for monitoring and reporting. And now that we are prepared, we are hopefully to have this fund maybe next year, maybe I don't know, but because now this institution is prepared to make that comparison before how we were, like, for example, 5 years ago, where we are in the present when we have the fund, and then 10 years after the intervention. And I would like to add also that this is a very different way to do cooperation in Central America, because we were used to have projects. But this is more than a project. This is the creation of an instrument that make us available to do more things in order to contribute to the development of women that are leading the MSMEs. So now we have a system, we have an area, specific area within CENPROMYPE that is going to be helping to the monitoring of all the things that we are going to do with the fund.
That's very interesting, thank you. Maybe one thing that we didn't prepare, but given that this is interesting what you are presenting, and we discussed before coming to this panel, there's also, you are aggregate 8 countries, so you have a national also overview. There is also a vision in the change to be created is significant because it's changing the underwriting, but there is also maybe an aspirational change to change, to adjust the regulation and allow women inclusion to be part of the political agenda. Can you tell us more what is?
Yes, I think this is the most important thing that we are changing in Central America. Maybe this is our first experience doing this, and I'm sure that we are going to make some errors in the path. But the most important thing is that the 8 governments are changing the way to see the women entrepreneurs. They are not thinking like 5 years ago in order to give them just $2,000 to start a business. No, they are thinking, whoa, this is very important for my government to work with women because they are giving me something too. They are giving me a very strong relation, not also in the economic field, but also in the social way. Most of the population of Central America and even in the world are women. So are we working with them? That was the question that they made. Are we really working with them, or we are just giving some things? And the other thing that is changing is because they were not used to work in this way. They were used to have a project with any kind of agency, and then when you finalize when the project ends, what should I do? I got nothing. Do I create an instrument, a model, or a mechanism that that give me some sustainable actions? No. But with this kind of mechanism we are creating, we are giving that answer to that question, and they are now aware of the importance of creating instrument instead of short projects.
So this is the cornerstone, I believe, right? Is evolution and creating long-term relationship and partnership. Yeah. What is, from an implementing development agency, you want to demonstrate with this evolution of the relationship and the project?
Well, what we want to demonstrate, this is a tricky question. No, I think for us what is also really interesting for us in working with a partner like CENPROMYPE is this, that what we do, we support them, and at the end of the day they are so close with the person that actually the institution that make decisions, really, and they have the possibility to do policy making, that then we have really a straight channel from the evidence to make some changes at the policy level, because we need a regulatory environment, we need policies that also goes in those directions, instead of we cannot do just by our own. So I think for us is really important, and this is also what we want to demonstrate. Probably looking at CENPROMYPE like that, you will never think why you should create an investment fund with a regional public organization. This looks a little bit weird as a choice. And then we see that along the way, we found a lot of, let's say, a different way also of looking at the things, and also because they work already a lot with the private sector, they're incorporating the other partners that are more private partners, and the type of dialogue that we can have. So I think we're really going also demonstrate that we can also have different types of public-private partnerships that could work towards the same goal.
Also, it's important to mention that the technical part is a local entities that have a deep knowledge of the needs of the SMEs. So we are working with the local entities too.
And your knowledge of the region as well.
Yes.
And the presence in the region. So we heard about a more equitative and thriving solution that involve different partners from private and public sector to change the life of women for the better in Central America, and to change also the mindset of the institutions. Since we have just a few minutes left, I was wondering, maybe we can open the floor to the audience to ask questions, because this is a project that is evolving, and you might have some question on the way it's been constructed or is going to be.
Do you hear me? Yes. Sorry for my voice. My name is Alba, and thank you for the panelists and for this interesting discussion and the sharing of information. I have more reflection, but also some questions, because listening to all panelists is great. I'm a consultant, but also working a lot with capacity building. 20 years plus in practitioner. I started as a loan officer, who knows that name. I was not good as a cashier, always with negative money, and they said, go down. So
Mm-hmm.
It's a reflection of questions and maybe also
but I would like to just to say that maybe Alba is your name, isn't it? Maybe we should work together because all the things that you describe, is the things that we were pitifully, that was like, well, this is what we have in Central America, and financial institution does not know anything about how to create a very environmental, an adequate environmental for the women's entrepreneurs. And as you said, they do not have a concept of what we are going to understand for the women in MSMEs. And that was the first step that we took in this job that we were doing with LuxDev. We had to include to the FIs within the technical assistance, because they really have to know how to deal with the challenges that are facing the women that are in MSMEs. They're supposed to know, but they really don't know how to do that. It's the same thing when we are talking about, for example, green MSMEs. Everyone wants to work with green MSMEs, but who knows really how to work that? And that is why we are including the FIs in our programs of technical assistance, because they really need to be prepared for the things that we are creating now, because we are creating a conscious market that are going to need new products, but also they are going to demand changing regulations. We are giving a voice, a political voice too, in the region. So are they prepared to face that? And that we have to include in this program. That is why I was telling before, this is a very different way to treat the problem, at least in Central America. Maybe it's not the first time that a fund of this matter is created, but in Central America, yes, it is. So we are agree with your reflection, because I think is true.
Yeah, I will complete the reflection, but in Spanish. Como mencionaba Eduardo, realmente esa es parte del trabajo de asistencia técnica. Vamos a hacer un diagnóstico de las instituciones financieras que van a trabajar para FEF y que nos permita medir cómo está la cartera de préstamos enfocado en mujeres y cómo va a ir creciendo, cómo va a ir mejorando y diversificándose a la medida que pase el tiempo. Para ese trabajo, para la mejora de políticas, para la inclusión de nuevas líneas de negocios que nos permitan crecer en este tipo de portafolio, o sea, realmente necesitamos un tiempo prudencial que se va a definir con todo el apoyo de la asistencia técnica. Entonces, también como mencionaban antes, o sea, es parte del proceso de cambio en la región para lograr los objetivos que el FEF busca, ¿verdad?
Do you need a translation?
Maybe.
Me?
Yes, no, well, I can do that. Well, Jennifer was saying that it's going to start with a diagnostic to understand the needs of the organization, and it's a process that will take some time, because we will need to dig down also to the policy and the procedure the institution has. And to create the change might take some time. It's going to be at the portfolio, not only at the portfolio, but also at the policy, at the structure of the organization itself. And because I didn't take all the notes perfectly, I can go down in a nutshell. Any other question? Please.
It's actually a comment or some addition. And we were partner in the Small Firm Diary study, which was done in 7 countries, not in Central America, but at least in Colombia. And what is really interesting, that study looked at businesses with 2 to 20 employees, and there were 3 classes.
But maybe just to comment on your comment, we also found something similar because when we were working on all the concept of the fund and what we want to do, we did a lot of studies, and then we find out the same thing. We found out that, for instance, when it comes to women-led businesses, so they are profitable, they're performing really well, no huge differences, sometimes even better than the male one, but they don't get what they need. And actually, I really remember we had these focus group, and then when we were trying to better understand, and there was this businesswoman, and I remember from which country, then she said, yes, so I'm going to the bank and I asked for a loan. I needed, I don't remember if it was like $20,000 or $30,000 because I want my business to grow, and I had a lot of idea. And then they were like, and it's my business, I create my business, I'm the owner, it's my business. And then the loan officer looked at me and said, we need the signature of your husband. And I told them, I don't get your loan because my husband is my employee. So, but this is also what they face, actually. So it's also how we change that. They are not so trustworthy when they have like bigger enterprises just because they're women. So how you make also all the processes, not gender blind, but you should evaluate or assess a business as a business. No matter if it's a man or women, no matter the age, is the business performing well? And so I think we also have to change the way we do that. So I think we found the same thing also for the region.
To create, as Jennifer was saying, create a conducive environment for women that goes down even also collection policy as well. I mean, all the instruments to help enrich women. We have 3 minutes. We have space for another couple of questions, if any. Yes, please. So a bit of gender balance in the questions as well.
Great.
Right?
We're doing well.
Yes, we're doing well. Yes. Please.
Okay. Does the fund will equity participate in the business of the women, or will provide guarantees for banks? What kind of support will provided by the fund itself to the business?
So actually the fund was a debt fund, and then I will let also Jennifer to complete. So we provide loans to financial institutions that will provide loans to the business. So there is like no equity involved at this stage, but Jennifer, let you.
Sí, voy a explicar en español también. Bueno, el mecanismo está compuesto por deuda senior y deuda subordinada, un mecanismo súper especial para cubrir pues el riesgo que eso pueda traer, pero en ese momento es deuda.
So, it's a combination of debt, the subordinated debt, to cover the risk that we can face with the institution, but at the moment is mainly concentrated on discussing senior debt, but there will be a component on subordinated debt as well in the future. So again, it's a work in progress. I would like to thank you very much, my very interesting panelists today. Thanks for your time and for your thoughts. It's been a pleasure working with you. Suerte.
Gracias.
No, it's not todos. Thank you so much for being here with us. It's been a very interesting panel. Any final thoughts you want to share? Or?
We just want to thank.
Thank you a lot.